Hi guys, so Earth is to be hit with a solar storm tomorrow. That comes up on the 7th of October. That is a cautionary watch day that I just put up yesterday. So obviously this is interesting for me. The event has been upgraded from a G1 to a G2 class geomagnetic storm and could mess with spacecraft navigation, damage transformers and wreak havoc with migrating birds' sense of direction. Solar wind escaping from a hole in the sun's atmosphere will travel through space to reach Earth tomorrow and build in intensity on October the 8th. A NASA observatory captured an image of the large canyon-shaped hole yesterday, and it is facing Earth. The gap is known as a coronal hole, and this one is massive, stretching more than 500,000 miles from the Sun's North Pole to its southern hemisphere. The activity could also cause a spectacular display of auroras, the Northern Lights, in Scotland and parts of northern England. These are the locations where it can be viewed from the UK. This solar wind stream will likely take about 2.5 to 3 days to travel the Sun-Earth distance, which means the solar wind stream is likely to arrive this Sunday, 7th of October. Moderate G2 geomagnetic storm conditions will be possible on this date, and perhaps early on Monday the 8th of October. So just going to be keeping an eye out for anything unusual that may take place during that time. Obviously, as I said, October the 7th is a watch day, and we'll see if anything happens. Interesting news as well, coming down to earth, is the Interpol president guy missing. No one really knows what's happened to him at the moment. Supposedly, he's been taken by Chinese government officials and is being questioned or interrogated, whichever word you prefer to use. But this is a major organization. Presidents just don't go missing from places like Interpol, so it's very serious, and it kind of makes me think of the whole situation around China. Now, this map is actually very helpful. It's a maritime map, and that's what I've done is taken away all the other traffic, and we've got unspecified ships here. And pardon me, but I can't remember the name of the YouTuber. He's talking about the build-up of naval vessels over here off the coast of Venezuela, which is important. There's a lot of bad things happening in Venezuela at the moment. The way I view it is, if you've got Russian, Chinese, maybe other countries' naval vessels over here in Venezuela under the guise of humanitarian aid, if anything was to kick off just over here on the mainland of the United States, you've kind of got a quicker access route to the East Coast, or you can even go through the Caribbean Sea up into the Gulf of Mexico and approach through that way. But what's really interesting for me is the build-up of naval vessels, unspecified naval vessels, along the coast of China, from the Yellow Sea to the East China Sea, all the way down into the South China Sea. Now, we know the South China Sea is a hotbed of contention, militarily for China, and we know that there's a lot of build-up going on over there in terms of different countries' navies. So when I'm seeing this mass amount of ships just all along the coast of China, it kind of does suggest that there is something more going to happen there. Build up off the coast of Taiwan. Now, all these ships are obviously not all Chinese ships. They are Chinese, UK, USA, Taiwanese, North Korean, South Korean, Japanese, and probably loads of other different countries building up over there. But where the naval vessels are would probably be where a war would kick off. So you've got the potential for it kicking off in the Mediterranean, the South China Sea, off the coast of Venezuela. There's a lot of naval build-ups going on around the world, but none more so than the South China Sea and along the coast of China. And finally, sticking with the water level, so we've kind of gone from space down to Earth, down to water level, and now we're going deep sea. The Navy Admiral, the US Navy Admiral, is warning, along with the NATO admirals, that the threat of the Russian submarines is real, and it's asking the US to do more to combat it. One of America's top admirals issued a warning on yesterday, that Russia is causing concern with the development of its submarine force. Admiral James Fogo, the commander of American naval forces in Europe, said Russia has focused more on undersea warfare than on surface ships as it rebuilds its military strength. Russia is not 10 feet tall, but they do have assets that keep me vigilant and concerned. One of them is in the undersea domain. The admiral says Russia has continued to do research and development and recapitalize the undersea domain. They see it as one in which there is a challenge, and that challenge is the United States Navy and the United States Submarine Force. Fogo's comments at the Pentagon were similar to those delivered Friday to the Atlantic Council in Washington. We've seen creation of new classes of all sorts of submarines and ships. I'm more concerned with submarine warfare. Russians have produced the new Dolovsky class submarine. They've produced the Severodonsky class submarine. They produced the new Kilo hybrid class submarine. 6 Kilo class subs were either operated in the Black Sea or the Eastern Mediterranean when they're firing the Caliban missile, a cruise missile, he said, which could reach any capital in Europe. That's a concern to obviously the US Navy, NATO, and other allies. So they would like to know where these submarines are at all times. Interestingly enough, the reporter asked the admiral if the United States was aware of where these Russian submarines are at all times, but he didn't answer the question directly. He said they have advanced technology which they use to track them, but he did not say that the US knows where these submarines are at all times. And that would fall in line with the Russian report of submarines approaching the East Coast and coming back undetected. Also in line with the new level of submarines that are out there, which have reduced acoustic noise. So unless the US is able to, maintain its advantage acoustically for tracking these submarines, Russia and even China could overtake the United States in that respect. So they are planning a drill to simulate a Russian attack against Norway on October the 25th. Again, interesting times. That's close to the October 31st, November the 5th time range. So we're going to be keeping an eye out on for that. But considering all the build-up around the South China Sea, I think there is going to be some conflicts kicking off there. There are going to be some conflicts within the Mediterranean. Obviously, that's to do with Israel and Iran and Syria and elsewhere around the world. We can see that things are building up pretty quickly. But for now, keep an eye out tomorrow for the solar storm, G2 class solar storm. I don't see any reason for it to be any bigger than a G2 class, but there might be some other events that coincide with it, so I'll pay attention, and hopefully you guys will too. With all that said, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.